Welcome back, guys. Today here at SPEEDhaus, my name is Gage, and today we are working on a BMW M340i, and this car has the B58 motor in it. It's a Gen 2. If y'all don't know, the B58 platform is an amazing platform to get into. These motors hold power really well. They love some bolt-ons, so today we're going to get going on some bolt-ons. Now, these aren't your standard bolt-ons like charge pipe, down pipe. No, today we're going to be doing a little more spicy stuff. So let's get into it. So we have, first things first, our big power plant. We have a PURE800 turbo. Now this is going to really help get the extra boost we need out of this car to make that good power. So from there, we're going to go on to, we have the Dorch Engineering high pressure fuel pump upgrade. So we have lines, the pump, to help get that extra pressure we need to feed this turbo, all the extra fuel. And then because we're going to do all this custom tuning on this car and eventually go like full 85 and the flex tune, we're going to reflex here from Motive. This is the full kit, so we're going to be installing that today. So a couple things we haven't got currently here that we're going to do is eventually going to do a low pressure fuel pump. It's going to need it once we get to go rolling full E. So on the initial tuning stuff, we're not going to run full E, but when we get there, it's going to absolutely have to have one. So if you're going to do a setup, you're going to have a low pressure fuel pump as well. And then we also got to get a charge pipe. The customer forgot to order it. That's okay, because these cars don't really have charge pipe issues, you know, as these cars are new. The plastic hasn't got old yet. And then the down pipe is also on its way, because you're going to have one if you're going to do all this stuff. So, but other than that, that's pretty much the full build. It's a kind of a basic build, but it's a good build for good power. So let's get started. We're going to unhook all the batteries. So this car has like a 24 volt weird system in it. So there's a battery in the back and there's a battery in the front. So I've already unhooked the battery in the front, so now I'm going to unhook the battery in the back. So we're going to do the turbo first. We took all the trim off because we have some other things to do here and there. And we unhooked the batteries because we got to do the reflex later. But the biggest thing, the hardest thing to do on these cars, well, there's a lot of hard things. Hardest thing we're doing today on this car is the turbo. So we're going to do the turbo first, get that knocked out of the way, and then go from there. Intake box, really easy to get out. Literally pull that clamp and just pull hard and this whole thing comes out.
What's next?
Right now I'm getting all the under shields off, just around the engine, because when I pull a coolant line here in a minute, if you've never done this, it likes to go everywhere. So if you have the shields out of the way, it'll help from getting coolant from leaking somehow back here when it's up here. So just pull them out of your way, it'll help you in the long run. And we have the stock catalytic converter out, and we're going to be putting in a high flow catalytic converter back in. All right, let me give you all a rundown of how to take one of these turbos off. So after you're going to pull the intake, you're going to pull a couple lines. There's 2 coolant lines and 2 oil lines. So the first coolant line, which is your feed, is right here. There's a T30. It's hard to see. Down about where my finger's at, holding this line. You're going to pull that T30. On the other side, there is a coolant drain. So there's going to be a spot over there with a T30 underneath this manifold. And then there'll be another T30 right in this area holding the line. And then pull the down pipe off, theoretically, a little bit of wiggle. Just like that, there's a turbo. I want to show y'all how this works. So the bottom of the turbo flange slides down in these little gaps and then rotates up, and that's why you only have to pull the top ones and not these bottom ones. That's how you pull turbo. Side by side comparison. There's not much of a difference.
They look similar.
There's a difference. Where it's at, I don't know, but there's a difference.
200 horsepower difference.
Yeah, I mean there's a horsepower difference, no doubt. Anyways, we have the old one out, and here's the new one. So now the next step is we're going to move all of these lines over to this turbo. Now, green twister. It's okay. On this car, I mentioned it only has 200 miles on this car. Does it need a new gasket, new O-rings? Absolutely not. But we went ahead, precaution, new gasket, new O-rings. So it's time to put the new turbo in.
All right, and that is it. Thank you guys for watching. She's in.
She went in. Alright, so we're basically done with the turbo. So now we're gonna move on to the high pressure fuel pump. So if you haven't done one on one of these B58 cars, it's a whole lot easier than the N5X platform because it's right up here on top. So you have 3 17s, you have one here, or 4 I guess, here and then here. And then this line assembly will just pop right off. And then after you disconnect this 17, you're gonna pull that, and then you're gonna disconnect the fuel line over here right next to the DME. And then you have two, I think T30s holding the actual fuel pressure pump in, and you'll just pop it up. That's how we're gonna pull this out.
Oh wow, that was fast.
It's ready to go. The goal here is not to drop it, pulling it off. A little safety clip on the fuel line. And you're gonna push down on the fuel line, pull back on the other safety clip, just like that. Trying to dump fuel everywhere. Snake this sucker out here. But don't get caught on everything. Here's the lines all out now. So now we're gonna pull the pump. Just like that. The old high pressure fuel pump is out. So step 1 to the high pressure fuel pump upgrade, we have the adapter plate. They come with 2 screws. Put this in. And we have a tool to line this up properly. You're gonna reuse the factory gasket. Put that on. Lines it all up. Get these 2 T30s started. And we'll snug those down and then install the high pressure fuel pump. Alright, so here's the high pressure fuel pump upgrade. We put a little lube on this O-ring. You don't want to cut it on accident when you're putting it in. You're going to kind of line it up with your holes. It's spring loaded, but we're as far as we can go in. These 2 top bolts are 5mm Allens. Just like that, high pressure fuel pump is installed, and as far as you can tell, it looks pretty stock, OEM-ish. You know, this little billet piece is a little deceiving, but put your cover back on, you'll still be asleep. Alright, so next up on our list is installing the Reflex Plus. It's a piggyback, but it's not a piggyback at the same time. So like a JB4 is a true piggyback. It's just like going around the ECU to make things happen on your car. This is actually working with the ECU. It's gonna run your flex fuel, it can run your secondary fuel pump, it can run all of that. And then eventually when it wants to go on port injection, it already has the harness for it. Okay, we have one more plug in.
So while we're in there doing the Reflex, we're gonna also do the Flex Fuel kit for E85.
Yep.
Alright, so we got the old downpipe out of the car. Now we're putting the new one in. What downpipe is it?
VRSF.
Good old VRSF.
VRSF. Coming in clutch, my guy. Should be about done. Start the car.
Flex Fuel is installed. You need to button up the Reflex, get a tune on this thing. Should be ready to rip. Okay, next step with this M340 build is time to get tuned. Gauge finished up, all the other stuff on it, and now Matt is gonna knock out the tune.
And for the tuning side, we're using Steven and Ken over at Wedge Performance, and basically I've already got their base map saved in my email.
Was this already done?
No way.
Wow.
That is the
I've never seen that
Alright,
before.
that is the fastest map ride I've ever done for a base map. That's quicker than revisions. Now that you're done being rude.
What? Huh?
So we'll get the laptop out, pop the hood, we'll hook up to the Reflex, and we'll update the bin file in that, because this car doesn't have port injection on it yet. So naturally Reflex is used to control port injection, and it's all the wiring's there, but the physical parts is not. So we'll go in and we'll basically tell it that there is no PI. And it'll save that, and it'll be good to go rip, get a base map. So this is our base map, so I'm not going to rip it until we get like full authorization to do so. But we can at least go do, you know, just kind of a mild pull, make sure the car feels okay. I've already done an idle log of the car and sent that over, and we're just waiting on authorization to send it to get our first full pull on the car. But we'll play a little bit. Can't leave you guys hanging.
Oh, she feels good.
Feels solid. It is also on 91 right now. We'll do these first couple of revisions on it. Then we'll put probably an E30 mix in it until we get PI. I just want to make sure everything feels smooth and the car feels good, no issues.
On the E85, this thing's gonna rip.
It will on the E, I can't wait. 91 sucks, especially here. It's so just crap.
Oh,
I can hear it.
noise.
Yeah.
Sounds so good.
Turbo does sound good. Ew, that did not. That was not us. I'll take it for a base map.
Yeah, feels real good.
We will, so we'll do some more data logs on it, and once we get the go ahead to actually go do a pull them.